When we think about life, how often do we prioritize God in our daily routines? Life is a journey filled with a myriad of paths and choices. These paths present to us a variety of experiences, sometimes leading to thrilling adventures or welcoming milestones, other times to unexpected challenges and learning curves. Not only is our journey unique, but it is also shaped by the choices we make, the relationships we foster, and the attitudes we adopt. Our lives are enriched not just with multifarious experiences, some euphoric and delightful, but other equally challenging and demanding experiences. Each moment holds a story, a lesson, an opportunity for growth. Not only do we find ourselves navigating through the whirlpool of these moments, immersed in our daily routines, but our minds teem with pressing tasks, duties, and commitments. Often, our existence revolves around not just our careers, our academics, our relationships, but also on our relentless search for success, wealth, and happiness. And so we hustle, we strive, we yearn, and we chase. Sometimes our lives become a marathon, a race against time, a pursuit of achievement. But in this relentless race, amidst the clattering noise of the world, the divine loses its voice. The concept of God, the essence of faith, the philosophy of spirituality, often gets lost in the cacophony of our lives. They become a mere afterthought, an occasional indulgence, a side note in the symphony of our existence. We wake up each day, our minds buzzing with thoughts, concerns, plans, and ambitions. We rush through our mornings, race through our afternoons, and collapse into our evenings, our minds in constant turmoil, forgetting to pause, to reflect, to contemplate on the bigger picture. Yet, can we alter this narrative? And so what if we started each day by acknowledging the divine with a simple prayer or a moment of silence? What if we consciously reflected on our actions, decisions, and thoughts in the light of our faith and morality? Can you imagine the peace that would envelop us if we were aware there's a divine power guiding our journey, protecting us, and watching over us? Imagine not just the strength, but also the resilience we could garner from nurturing hope and faith, even in times of adversity. Imagine the solace of knowing that irrespective of the trials and tribulations, we are never alone, for the divine is always with us. When we make God a priority in our lives, we will be equipped not only to navigate the tumultuous seas of life with grace, resilience, and courage, but our lives will be full of purpose, meaning, and direction, filling us with hope, faith, and love. Including God in our daily routines is not just about prayers or attending religious services. It is about cultivating a continuous awareness of the divine in our lives. It means being mindful not just of our actions, words, and thoughts, but also making sure they align with our faith and principles. It means treating everyone with kindness, compassion, and respect, for we all are a reflection of the divine. Do you know why putting God first in our lives is critical? Do you realize that we are all on a spiritual journey, whether we acknowledge it or not? This journey is not about reaching a certain destination, but it's about personal growth, lending a helping hand, making a positive impact on others, and becoming the best version of ourselves. It's about fostering virtues like patience, humility, forgiveness, and compassion. It's also about nurturing hope, faith, and love in our hearts. And so while challenging ourselves to make a conscious effort to prioritize God, to integrate the divine into our everyday lives, we should equally strive to live each day in the light of faith, hope, and love. And remember, no matter how daunting life may seem, there's always God and there's always a beam of hope. But did you know that nurturing hope begins with putting God first? The importance of prioritizing God in our lives cannot be overstated. Do you remember the story of Daniel? This extraordinary tale inspiring countless people across the globe all begins with an ordinary man named Daniel, cultivating the habit of prioritizing God daily. Despite being born and raised in a land far different from the one in which he found himself later in life, a foreign land, with its unfamiliar customs, strange traditions, and myriad of different beliefs that could have easily overwhelmed any ordinary person, Daniel stuck with God. He was a man who, despite his unfamiliar surroundings, never deviated from his beliefs. He was surrounded by strange customs, foreign systems of beliefs, yet he chose to hold steadfastly to his faith. He chose to put God first, above everything else. This decision was not an easy one to make. It required a strength of character and a depth of faith that few possess. Daniel had a unique spiritual discipline. He prayed 3 times a day, every single day, creating a rhythm that guided his actions and decisions. It was a commitment that remained unbroken, even when faced with the stern decrees of the land, which declared his sacred act of prayer to be illegal. This act of defiance against the law was not an act of rebellion for Daniel, but rather an act of devotion, an affirmation of his unshakable faith in God. He continued his ritualistic prayer, unafraid of the consequences that might befall him, his faith unwavering. His audacity to uphold his faith did not go unpunished. As a direct result, he was thrown into the lion's den, a gruesome place feared by all, an arena of death. But even in the face of such an imminent threat, Daniel's faith did not falter. He stood strong in the midst of the lions, a symbol of courage and faith in the face of adversity. He trusted God even within the jaws of death. It was a trust unmoved by the ferocious roars of the lions, a trust that echoed in the silent den. And indeed, his faith was rewarded. He survived the lion's den, emerging unscathed, his faith stronger than ever. His survival became a powerful symbol of the strength of faith and the miracles it can bring about, an example of divine intervention for those who dare to believe, a beacon of hope for us all. A powerful testament to the importance of putting God first, no matter the circumstances. But it's not just Daniel's thing. Do you remember his 3 friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? The Hebrew boys who boldly stood firm against the overwhelming pressures of their time, insisting on choosing God first. In the shimmering sands of Babylon, a land known for its wealth and grandeur, but also for its fierce adherence to the worship of idols, there came forth a decree from King Nebuchadnezzar. From the humblest slave to the loftiest statesman, all were required to show homage to his golden idol, but these 3 young men chose to walk a different path. God's narrow way. Despite being captives in a foreign land, they held firm to their faith in God against all odds, being well aware the punishment for disobedience was severe and potentially fatal. There, standing before the enormous golden statue, they were presented with a choice, a crossroad of faith, to bow or not to bow, to yield or not to yield. And in this moment of decision, they chose God, faithfulness above fear, righteousness above complacency. They had not the promise of deliverance, nor the assurance of survival, yet they chose to stand for what was right, even when it meant facing a fiery furnace. Although threatened, ridiculed, and scorned, they held on to their faith, refusing to surrender, ready to sacrifice their lives for their God. And in the midst of their tests and trials, they were not abandoned. God honored their unwavering faith, their steadfast devotion, their unyielding courage. Just as they had chosen to stand for God, so also did God choose to stand with them. In the midst of the blazing furnace, a miracle unfolded. Protected by the hand of God, they walked out of the furnace unscathed. The flames that had been meant for their destruction did not touch them. Not a single hair on their heads was singed, nor was their clothing scorched. The fire that was meant to consume them only proved their faith. Does this story not serve as a beacon of hope and reminds us that when we put God first, He stands with us in our trials? Hope is the vital spark that ignites the fire within, the driving force that inspires us to reach out and try, even when the path is rocky or when the odds are against us. Hope is more than just wishful thinking. It is the profound belief in better and brighter days ahead. It is the catalyst that encourages resilience, the impetus that inculcates fortitude. There is an indomitable power in hope that propels us forward, constantly urging us to never give up. It paves the way for dreams to take form and for goals to be pursued. When we stumble and fall, it's hope that helps us rise again, dust ourselves off, and move forward with renewed vigor. And when we put God first, our hope transcends beyond the realms of the earthly and the mundane. We begin to trust not just in His promises, but we start to see the bigger picture, the grand scheme of things, even in the stormy waters. Our hope, thus, is not placed in our circumstances, which are fleeting and transient, but in God, the eternal omnipotent entity who holds all these ever-changing circumstances in His hands. For when our faith lies in the Almighty, our hope transforms into a potent force that can weather any storm. Our hope is not in our circumstances, but in the God who holds all circumstances in His hands. Did you also know that prayer is a powerful tool in nurturing hope and putting God first? This sacred act, simple yet incredibly potent, forms an integral part of our spiritual well-being. It serves not just as our unfiltered connection to the divine, but also a conduit for our deepest thoughts, fears, and aspirations. Prayer as a spiritual practice is unique to every individual, yet universally beneficial. It's our direct to the Almighty, an open channel that transcends the boundaries of our physical realm. So when we pray, we are expressing not only our utmost humility, but also recognizing our vulnerabilities and acknowledging the divine supremacy. It's an intimate moment where we lay bare our souls, peel back the layers of our worldly concerns, our fears, our hopes, and place them as offerings at His divine feet. It's our opportunity to converse with God, to plead, question, and often just to listen. In this intimate conversation, we find solace, we find strength. We unburden ourselves from the weights of our concerns and worries, and in doing so, we find peace. The essence of prayer isn't only in the asking, but also in the silent, patient listening. It's in the quiet moments of introspection where we often hear His whispers, His guidance, His reassurances. Trusting God in prayer means believing that He hears us, that He cares, and that He is working even when we can't see it. It's about maintaining an unwavering faith that our prayers are not just words whispered into the void, but heartfelt conversations heard and noted. The faith that even in our darkest hour, under the shroud of life's stormiest clouds, His divine light is working tirelessly, even when we can't see it, and mold our perspectives. In our devoted moments, we often find wisdom to cope with life's adversities. It illuminates the pathway through our darkest hours, providing faith and hope when despair tries to engulf us. It's in these moments of devotion that we are reminded of God's love, His promises, and His faithfulness. In conclusion, dear friends, let's commit to the essential and transformative act of keeping God at the center of our daily lives. We exist in a world that is constantly changing, always dynamic, and often challenging. Life, as we all know, tends to throw us curveballs, unexpected events, and situations that can often seem hard to navigate. Yet with God as our primary focus, with His divine love and wisdom guiding our path, we are gifted with an abundance of resilience, insight, and strength to handle any scenario that comes our way. Let's elaborate on the reasons why this commitment to making God our daily priority is so quintessential. The first reason is that it allows us to remain focused on what genuinely matters in life. In a world filled with distractions, it's easy to lose sight of our spiritual path. But when we place God at the center of our daily lives, we train our inner compass to stay true to the essential values of love, kindness, and humility. Our daily actions and decisions are guided by these values, and hence, our life becomes a testament to God's teachings. The second reason is that it strengthens our bond with Him. This is not merely about religious rituals or practices, but nourishing a relationship with the divine. Like any relationship, this bond with God grows stronger with time and sincere effort. A conscious mindfulness of His presence will lead us to a deeper understanding of His nature and His plan for us. Thirdly, it furnishes us with faith and hope to navigate life's trials that test our strength, our resilience, and our faith. When we make God our daily priority, we are not just committing to a routine, we are committing to a belief that no matter how daunting the darkness, a dawn awaits. This belief, this faith, fuels our hope, and this hope lights our path through the darkest trials. Let us collectively strive to integrate these lessons into our everyday life. Let's inspire each other, support each other, and encourage each other, ensuring God remains the central focus of our lives. Let His teachings guide our actions, let His love fuel our hearts, and let His wisdom illuminate our minds. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Like, share, and subscribe for more enlightening contents from Jojo Cab's Unedited, where life's true essence unfolds. And always remember, dear friends, with God as our guide, with His light leading us, we can withstand any storm that life tosses our way. We can face challenges with courage, with resilience, and with an unwavering sense of hope. Because when God is with us, nothing can stand against us. Remain blessed.